Well, hello everybody. It is midweek update time. It's good to be back. I was gone last week. Rob hopefully took care of you guys. Today's the 9th, and let's see what these markets have been doing and share some ideas. As always, you guys know how this works, so please feel free to share. Just make sure that we follow along and take responsibility. I think you guys get it.
All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. This video has been released to the public after a delay required by our compliance department. Maverick Traders received this market recap immediately, along with real-time trading support and resources. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that backs professional stock and options traders with firm capital. Our traders keep 70 to 80% of the profits they generate. If you're ready to become a professional trader, click the apply link in the video description below. Let's break down what happened in the markets today.
Okay, so let's get into our current market outlook as things just kind of have been hesitating. It's always neat to kind of step away for a week and come back and see that the markets really haven't done much. They're very bullish, they're very strong, but they're just kind of here. We're at this top. Where do we go? We've got all sorts of fun things. So the markets did gap up this morning. We did expect that. We've had a couple of days down. We were expecting a little bit of a bounce, but what was really interesting is when it gapped up, it came right back down. And I think a lot has to do with kind of the Fed minutes that are coming up. We're starting to see some of the economic data push towards that, okay, we can justify maybe a cut or some easing. So I think the markets are there. One thing that's not up here is some of the tariff news. I think the markets have just gotten used to it. Rob may mention this yesterday as well. They are a little bit overextended when it comes technically. We're going to look at them. I'll look at all three of them when it comes to the majors there, just to kind of chart them. But we don't have much to go off this week. We have a very light economic calendar. The only one that I thought made mention would be unemployment claims, and that is tomorrow. So I do think the markets might hang on the Fed minutes. They have been over the last little bit. Maybe we'll go lower. We'll just move higher. But I do think we continue this choppy sideways. However, that is in the short term. So weekly outlook's a 0 or +1 here. Monthly outlook is still definitely on the high end. So let's just jump out into the current markets here, folks, and take a look at where we're at right now. So you can see this is the gap. This is kind of what I was looking at. Is you get this gap up. All three of these guys gapped up and ran a little bit, but boy, they came right back down. And they're moving back towards the flat. And that would be expected, especially with what's coming in the Fed minutes or what these markets have done in general. So let's take a look at the SPY and break this down. As we're zoomed out, you can see we have that high base going on, and it's super strong. It's been choppy and consolidating, but boy, folks, we are super strong. We are comfortably above these highs here, and it's just, hey, where do we go from there? I would not be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback, maybe. So I would not be surprised to see some choppy volatility in the next little bit. So let me zoom in a little bit more here so we can get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on now. But as you can see, in the shorter term, it just looks really clean. I just like this nice breakout. We're very extended. So I got back from my trip and I took a look saying, whoa, hey, we did really good and we're extended here. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some sort of a correction. And it looks like we're just going to stabilize here for a minute. The correction can come hard and it can come fast. What I don't like is if we get some sort of news or something jumps out and we get these gappy candles. That's fine. It creates a big volatile move to the downside, but overall it could be a simple correction. So be leery and aware of that. We have support levels at this line I drew here. By that time, maybe this 20-day moving average comes up. So to react on a big move down like that is probably not a good idea. In fact, I almost kind of expect it, the choppy gapping that we've seen. So just make sure that we can absorb that by putting on trades that have a larger range. Some of the things that we've been talking about is like sideways, +1, -1s can work. I'm going to show you some trades today that I have. But they will work in the type of market that we have. Let's take a look at our next one. Let's look at the diamonds here. We've got a little bit of a consolidation going on here as well. I'll just zoom this in. And you can see everything's looking at some sort of a little bit of a correction. It's just kind of broken out of resistance. It's hit upper resistance and it's pulling back. But as you can see, nothing's really fallen apart. So I just don't want to get too aggressive when it comes to any sort of corrective moves. And if we do get them, they might be short and they might be very quick. So keep that in mind. Let's take a look at the Qs because this is the strong one and it continues to show it. So we've got this nice breakout. It's very similar to the S&P. I'm going to zoom in here, guys. Get it nice and tight for you. And you can see it's the same thing. It's just got this move to the upside. Let's draw our lines here. Nice breakout, moved up, and it's just in that consolidation phase. So you can see there is move for this to actually really correct. And I would still keep that as a +2, +3 when it comes to the monthly outlook. So if we keep that in mind, and we keep updating, right? We've got our end of days, and we've got our weekends, and we've got this class. But it does help, I believe, to actually go over the overall and just kind of keep your ducks in a row. Meaning, let's not react to any sort of one event or one news. There's a lot of TV drama out there. However, it's the price action that we have to follow. And right now, I'm seeing a super confident trader, and I'm seeing a very strong market. So let's just stick with what's in front of us, right? So that being said, let's take a look at what's going on groups-wise. Found the one-day performance versus the week. I like to look at these two. This is kind of my routine. And you can see it's similarities. So we got technology, energy, industrials for the week performance. And then on the one day, we got a communication services surge. It probably is one or two specific stocks. One that I like is Meta. It's showing a nice little bull pullback confirmation. That could be what's raising all that, the communication services. Technology still hanging in there. Even the day, you can see it's still the strongest. And then on the bottom, we got the consumer defensive. And what I'm seeing a whole lot of, and I've got some to look at as well, is food products, packaging, things like that. We'll take a look there. So nothing's really changing. It's just the stronger companies in the weaker sectors seem to consolidate. And so we have this opportunity for butterflies. We have this opportunity for in the money vertical spreads, plus ones and minus ones, things like that, as long as they can chop it down sideways. So let's go take a look at some of them. And, first of all, let's take just a real quick gander here. There it is. Meta's up 2%. Google's up 1.5%. Those two alone are probably the biggest surge. That's why communications is so high. But we know that. So first off, let me take a look at what you guys are looking at. Let's start with GLD. Jaws is looking at this. Now, gold is interesting. Corey talked about this 2 days ago. The dollar has been super weak over the longest period of time. And so the markets have been strong. Gold kind of counteracts that. It works with each other. So it just depends on where that goes. Interest rates are going to be super effective. And it's a fear-greed situation. So I like the consolidation here. I see a symmetrical triangle building sideways for a while, but we have seen gold react quite a bit. And we know that it can gap, and it can gap up or down, and it's come off of all-time highs, things of that nature. However, great trade if you give it that room. So if you want to lean to a direction, well, let's talk about that. If you want to lean to a direction, you're going to probably wait. I would probably wait for something to confirm at this area. Now, we do have the higher highs. You could be a little short if you wanted to play maybe a breakout above that previous resistance. So this would be my shorter term trade right here, breaking above that resistance level, and then maybe just targeting up to previous. If you wanted to do something longer term, this is an ETF, then you could wait for it to actually reach this potential area and then buy it for something a little bit longer term, and maybe even something like a +2. So it just depends on your time frame and what you expect in gold in this chart in the shorter term. That being said, let's take a look at the possibility of a sideways trade. So you have this consolidation going on. And what I like about that is if you take a look at the 20-day and the 50-day moving average, they're already flattening for you. Now, it does have the potential to consolidate and break out, but if you give it enough room, and this might be almost too wide. Look at this resistance area here. I'll throw this one out, but it kind of correlates. Actually, I could probably move that line a little higher. Right to here. If you wanted to play kind of a range bound in this area, if you have the Bollinger Bands on this, throw them up, play something like that. I would also lean towards a shorter term trade as well. You're going to have a hard time, I believe, with that wide of a spread, getting any good risk reward on it, but your probabilities could hang in there. So it really just depends on the approach that you want with this. But it's a pretty good setup overall. Dave's got Starbucks. All right, let's take a look at Starbucks here. Oh, cool little breakout. It's retracing, but if it can hold, that's still a good trade. Let's do that. I'm zooming in on this, but I like it. See this little pullback? It's surging. It's moving higher. It's actually climbed its way out pretty decent. I believe this is a pretty good reaction. If you guys have seen any of the courses or worked with me coaching wise, I love the ascending triangle or high base breakouts, but I love the breakouts because they trigger. I tend to play these +1s or +2s. However, I understand that the first move is going to be a move back down to the breakout level. Sometimes you'll get 1 or 2 candles up, and then you'll get a retest before it moves higher. I understand that. I know there's a high probability of this, so I position sides and I take trades specific to that reaction. Now this is neat because it's retracing right now and it's actually hitting the resistance level on this move. So you have the opportunity to sit back and just see if it can consolidate there. Now if it can stay right on that first line that I drew, let's do it again. If it can stay right where it is, and this is a pretty big round. I mean, it's interesting to see. I'd like to see where this volume ends. But that's a big round of selling right there after that gapped up. I'm not sure if there's news on this. In fact, I haven't even looked at it. But if we follow the price action and it can stay at this area, we might have ourselves an opportunity for kind of a sideways to +1 or even a +2 if it continues higher. So good trade. What's neat about that, today's your sit back and see what it can do for you and prove itself to you. Because if it can stay there and move higher, then it could be a good bull. So let me type, let's put Starbucks on our list. ALB, basic materials, not the strongest of the sector, but look at this starting to climb itself out. Very similar situation to the ones coming off the floor. Even Starbucks even look like that, kind of emerging. So first thing is you want to see these. You want to see higher pivot lows, and then we want to see price action break above resistance levels, and it looks like it did. Now, look at this bounce yesterday. That's really nice. It's very confident. It's showing that, hey, this could actually sustain. We've got confirmation of a small trend, right? Two higher lows. And I believe, well, we're about to make a second higher high, so that would be trend. We do have resistance back up at this 70 area, so keep that in mind. So, yeah, consolidation +1, maybe sideways to up. So, decent. Now, let's take a look at your next trade. This is BLDR. Okay, industrials moving higher. Let's zoom in here. And these are changing pace, right? It's nice to see moving averages falling and then support stays breaking above resistance. Look at the crossover right here, 2050 crossover. Breaking price action looks nice. You'll find yourself some targets. I'm just going to go ahead and put this up on the bull as well, but let's talk a little deeper about charts like this, not just this specific trade, but charts like this. You got to have targets. You got to have a time frame and target. And what's tough about this is I can blanketly come out and say +1s, -1s, and zeros look great. However, based on the specific stock you're looking at, time frame is going to be huge. So this is a beautiful candle. I like the surge going on right now. However, we have a few upper targets. So it looks to me like it might be above this one or right at it. You see these stairs back here? So if you take into consideration pivot points or areas where this hesitated before on its way down, because this stair stepped its way down, and it looks like it wants to stair step its way back up. There's going to be a big difference on the selection of strategy and time frame here than here. So just be mindful. Hey, do I want to be in this for a week? Well, yeah, then you probably want this first one. If you're going to be in there for 2-3 weeks, then you probably want this one. And it really just depends on a couple of things. What do you need in your portfolio? What do you see industrials as a sector in whole? And how long of term do you want to keep it? So those are just things that have to go around. Now, there's no correct or wrong answer to that, folks. What I love about this is it just depends on what you need and what you and your style of trading. ANET, A-N-E-T. So this one is very similar. However, what's really neat about these, and I don't know if there's a significance about it, I always say this, it was an old joke years and years ago. I used to do presentations, seminars, and I did a co-seminar with a friend of mine, and his favorite thing was, what indicator is the most important? And the answer is the one that's on your screen, the one that you follow, the one that you like. Is one any better than the other? Probably not. However, to add a little bit, The 200-day moving average is kind of it's a large staple. The majority of people might be looking at it. It's kind of a show of, hey, look, this is the average of this stock for a year. So if you look at like a hedge fund manager, or if this is going to be added to an ETF, that's going to be it. Is it outperforming its previous year? You'll see that, okay, there might be a little bit more optimism in the stock. So there's the psychology behind it. Is it true? I have no idea. So here is this high, or I should say, you call it a high base because it did retest here. I like this. So consolidation, high base. I was going to try to draw off the bottom here. Could be ascending triangle. But I like how this chopped around here and then decided to gain a little bit more momentum. So is it any stronger than the last couple or few we looked at? No, except for one thing. It's above its 200-day moving average. So take that for what it's worth. But I do think it's interesting. And where's your target on it? Well, we're going to have to go back and take a look at, some of these areas, draw some lines, and it just becomes, what do you expect out of this at the time frame that you want to have it for? Well, let's move over to a couple things that have been popped up on my radar and our radar. This is Microsoft. This has been a carryover on our list. It looked really good today. It's come back down, but it is going to hold. This is a sideways to up trade. We've had it on the bull list since we started doing these classes again, and I still like it. We're right at that area that I was just talking about. If it can stay, at 500, nice whole round number. If it can stay up here, even if it puts down a little bit of a shadow, it's just got to stay above this area, and we've got a nice consolidation in a very strong sector that we could still take advantage of. So you just kind of sit and let it work for you. So I've got that. That's a carryover trade. Let's take a look at the one that I like today. This is Meta. I like Meta because it had a corrective action, and this is the first time I've seen a pretty decent little bull pullback and a move to the upside. This might be a trade. Well, definitely going to, it's already written down, but this might be one I'm going to enter and track for us. I do like it. It's confirming. It's going to the upside. I mean, there is news on it. I think they're making a deal with Ray-Ban to put, the Meta platform inside of sunglasses, stuff like that. It's exciting, whatever. But I don't care. It's the price action. It's moving higher. It's up pretty good today. Now, can that hesitate and go and consolidate and play this sideways game? Of course it can. So I'm not doing a +3 trade on this, folks. I'm not. This is going to be a +1 trade. I like to lean towards the targeted butterflies. I'll be shooting somewhere about the 745 area, and it's going to be shorter term, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. So I'll see if I can't get something like that going. Let's do some more carryovers that I really liked. Delta Airlines. Now, what I thought was really interesting about the sideways, in fact, there was another one that came up on one of our end-of-day posts, and it was American Airlines, I believe. It looks pretty much the same, but it's staying within its ranges. And I have seen some pretty good sideways trades. In fact, we'll look at all of them. So Delta Airlines is industrials. I found another one, which is Comcast and Walmart and NRG. NRG is a carryover as well. But what I'm noticing is those are 4 complete different sectors. And there are stocks within them that are larger companies, bigger names that seem to just hang in there. And whenever you see this hang in there, it just screams sideways. There's still another opportunity here. You could play between the 52 and the 48 if you want to go tight. You can extend it a little bit more if you want to go up to maybe a 54 and a 46. It's totally up to you, but it's been doing pretty well as of late. So let's move over to the next one. This is a carryover as well. This is NRG. Now we're in utilities. High basing. We've had it on the sideways list for a while. And this one's a little bit more volatile. It probably makes people a little bit more nervous just because of the dollar amounts and the ranges that it has. But it's this was a little bit of a threat, but it came right back down. Now it's down at this bottom. If it turns back to the upside here in the next little bit, this is still a very nice sideways trade. 160, 150, that's pretty tight. 165, 145, a little wider. It's just been hanging in there. Also different sector, utilities, right? So we've gone industrials, utilities. Let's take a look at the one that I liked today. This is Comcast. Nice little consolidation going on here, and this is communication services. It's starting to look a little strong now that I'm looking at it. It's so funny that I can take a look at this class and start to build it, but since it's live, things change. But I did like this area. So if it can come back down to this area, maybe around that 35, this might be something I'd be a little bit more excited to go sideways. Right now, it looks a little too strong, and the only reason is because I have this little pop out. If we turn, even where I drew this candle, right? If we turn and move a little higher, well, guess what we have here? A slight higher low, and you can see, well, if I can erase this, you can see that the 20 and the 50 are also starting to separate and turn. So I would need this to come back around to that 35 area, or maybe even a little bit below it before I committed to it, but it's on my watch list for possible sideways. The other one that I liked today was sideways was Walmart. And once again, consumer defensive. A lot of consumer defensive stocks. In fact, most of the ones that I have on my bear watch list that I'll show you here are falling apart. But this is hanging in there. It's hanging in there. It's in a bad sector. It gets beat down sometimes, but it is just hanging in there. So if you want to go a little bit tighter there, I'm comfortable with 95. 94 is the better support on it. But yeah, maybe 95, 96. And then the resistance there at about, what's that, about 100? So kind of a sideways area, but we get a crisscross here. Got a crisscross on the 20 and the 50, but it looks like it's just going to kind of meander sideways. So just one to think about. Not my favorite, but it's a decent one. Costco. Now, consumer defensive, but not hanging in there like Walmart, is it? A lot bigger of a difference, I believe. Let's take a line here. Yeah, major difference. Drop in the highs. Nice low base, kind of a descending triangle pattern if you want to get there. So Costco might be a pretty good opportunity to break down to the downside. One thing to take a look at is support levels. I think, does the 200-day moving average matter to somebody? Well, it does if it's on your chart, right? So just be mindful of maybe it'll hit a moving average, but if you don't really care about those, let's just draw some lines here. Got resistance there. Looks like a little bit of a consolidation about that point, right here at about the 960 level. So there's some areas where it could, see, it probably blew through it back in this time, but yeah, maybe a target of 960, shorter term, but I like it. I like the weakness of it. It's starting to slide. Now this is the sector, consumer defensive, that's been the weakest, and Costco's participating. But a stock like Walmart isn't. TOST, is that right? Okay, there it is. I like it. Another sideways in technology. Two ways to look at this. Let's see, what was my first size? So Comcast was one that I liked, but it's showing a little bit of strength. This is toast, and it is consolidating. So I expect it to kind of stay sideways. But then you scratch your head and think, well, if technology is one of the stronger sectors, why isn't this going up? Like with Comcast, why is it going up? Well, that's cool. Maybe it's one of the weaker ones. So you could expect it to kind of chop along and move sideways. However, if technology has a pullback, maybe these sideways techs will fall. And things are usually reacted to more so than this slow move up or slow move down. It's kind of choppy. So with that, understand that, hey, look, if it rolls over or if the tech sector starts to fall, then you got to have some sort of area or at least give it width. Now, I don't know if going all the way out to its gap, because gaps are fun to play, so right about here, or excuse me, patterns like this are fun because they're pretty supportive, they're strong. If you want to go something like this wide, that might be kind of nice. Now, it might have the potential to move higher, and I'm going to put this on the same approach that I just talked about with Comcast. I need to see this get a little weaker. I do, just because it's the sector it's in. It'd be nice to see another day here, or maybe a doji that actually hits the 42 and moves back, right? Now this would be a nice place to get in sideways. But if we get one or two more up days, this becomes a high base breakout. So I like it. I'm going to put it on there, but just be mindful of what it could do. And that's the same thing. That's my same outlook with Comcast as well. Mason, CRCL. Okay, Circle Internet is brand newish. Emerging stocks are brand new, and maybe this is a spinoff. I don't know anything about this. Here it is. They're difficult. So I've got a 20-day moving average that's starting, right? A little bit of a pullback with a small confirmation, which we could maybe work our way back up there. Now, if you want to play it, just plain and simple is, look, it's going to get up to this point. However, what's tough about these is I've got nothing to go on. I have no idea what this does, right? I know this is a support level, and this is a resistance level. Past that, I don't know what's going to happen. So it becomes a little bit difficult, at least for me. Maybe you guys got a sharper eye, to where I can't really get into it. Meaning I don't have really the faith to see that, okay, I can see that, money definitely came in here, but, it's IPO-ish or spin-off or whatever this is. It looks to me this is going to flatline or maybe even just roll over. So I personally, this is all I can do is just talk out loud and you guys listen. Since it's new, since it's, IPOs or spins off and somebody's got this thing at 55 and they've got, hey, this thing hits 280, I'm selling the crap out of it. I don't know. But it would be better to maybe play as if it breaks down here or if it can move above there and play it as maybe a +2 or a -2. My 2 cents. Sideways, if they're available, options or anything, you probably get some pretty good premium on it. So I'd put this as kind of a breakout or breakdown in the future. Keep it on your watch list. PFGC. Performance. Okay, food group. Now, here's consumer defensive. Beat down. Lots of foods are getting smashed, and this isn't. This isn't. So these are the head scratchers. This is, okay, well, this is outperforming its sector. It seems to be very strong. Sideways to up. 0 to +1, sure. If you want to play this to the upside, and it might just be its sector that's kind of keeping it back, then just wait for it to confirm at this area. You can see how this 20's flattened itself off, and it's 100% because this pullback was a little deeper. It had this pretty good shoot up, pullback, and it was just more of a slide or a slow bleed, and it's trying to come back up. The behavior of this nice little triangle thing I built is a lot different than back in here, isn't it? This is very reactionary and jumpy. So I imagine this might be more of a consolidation. So 2 things. If it breaks above this resistance, you play it as a 0 +1, or if it starts to trail back down, there's a support level here. If this starts to come back down, well, you've got yourself a pretty decent range to play something sideways. Right to there. I'm going to put it on the sideways with an asterisk. And that way I'll know that it was sideways to maybe up, question mark. Let's look at PSA. So real estate it is one of the weaker sectors. I don't know if you guys saw that when we first looked at the sector breakdowns. And I like how this is working. Nice crossover, descending, just waiting for whatever confirmation you need. A lot of traders wait for support levels, or you can wait for the lowest point, which gives you quite a bit to go before it hits. A little big target here to the downside. If you're thinking it's going to be the slow bleed, you can just kind of do something diagonal-wise or target it. It just depends on what you're looking at and your time frames and what you kind of need for your portfolio. Something to kind of hedge yourself off. So I like Zillow, but Zillow's actually in the communication services area. The reason why I like Zillow is it's just moving higher, right? Nice and simple. Nice ascending triangle pattern. This is one that I'll be looking to see how far the surge goes. Last trade that I said I was taking a look at was Meta or Microsoft, things that break out, but they tend to retest. This is very simple. This is very similar. It's just on its tear. I do not like buying things here. But I like to see over the next day or so, even if they start to come back down, that's where I take a look at it. Then I'll say, okay, maybe I can play it where it's coming back down from as a target and get into it in the shorter term. So I like it. I think Zillow's good. I truly think that it had a connection to real estate, but it is in the communication sector, not like a PSA is. Cool. But I do like PSA as a bear. All right, let's take a look at IBIT. Cryptos are fun. Cryptos are neat, and they're all over the place. And I just like the fact that you got IBIT, you got BitO, you got things that you could trade and take advantage of them. Very similar, very simple. Keep it, just chart it. These will always gap. Crypto trades all the time, right? It's on the Forex. So it'll gap almost every candle, but that's what the ETFs are for. They kind of smooth that out. I like this. A nice ascending triangle pattern. If you want to play this as a breakout, make sure that it's comfortably above this area before you buy it. Or if you want to play it as kind of a +1, you're going to have to give it room. And what I mean by that, you're going to have to allow this thing to bounce back and forth for you. So sideways to up, if you want to do a +1, you've got to be mindful of that 58. If you want to go shorter term, maybe around this 60 area, and then wait for that breakout. because it looks like it is pushing up to that higher level, and it is in a bullish area. So let's move over to the bear side. BRBR is one that I found this morning. We have a gap down. It's got this bounce. It's kind of falling apart. It does have some shadows down here, which has got me a little bit reluctant. So I don't want to get too aggressive, but I like this dissension. A big push to the upside here, maybe short covering or just a bottom fishing, things like that. But if I could get a move or a roll over there, I might have the confirmation I need to get into something to the bear side. Well, here, let's go to some carryovers. CAG. It's got its earnings tomorrow. Well, I'll probably set that on the sideline, but this has been a pretty good trade since we've been looking at it as a group here, folks. Lots of opportunities. Opportunities as it broke here, opportunity break down there, a little bounce. It looks like it's coming back down. So I'm gonna shelf this one just because of its earnings, me personally. But if you guys want to play it, there's one for earnings. And then Campbell's, another carryover, and it's just doing its thing. Look at that, rolling over, breaks down, comes back, rolls over, comes back. I'll zoom in a little bit to see if there's opportunity now. But I like it. It's descending. It's just falling apart here. And then the last trade I'd like to take a look at on my list for the Bears is PG. Maybe it's consumer defensive, so it's in the right sector. It's falling apart. The price action is just showing a wonderful move to the downside. This is something that might be tradable today, something I'll be looking at as well. All right. Let me share that list with you guys, and then we will cut you loose. And there it is. So a lot of the carryovers that I like, and I'm going to continue to do this. I'm also going to see if I can't place some of these trades and carry them forward. We can talk about how they've done. Microsoft's been up there for a while. Meta. Let's see. Campbell's has been up. We got CAG's been up. Delta, Energy, all around. But these are pretty decent little trades here. So I like the fact that you guys can come back and we can talk about them, bringing me new trades, bringing us new trades, and then maybe discussing some of the older ones. So if you guys got some trades that you've been making from this class, maybe next time we get on, we can discuss that. Say, hey, Joe, remember this ABC trade I took? This is what I did, and this is what it's doing. So not just sharing trades and ideas and thoughts, but how about we share setups and we share results? I think that might be a lot of fun, a little bit more progression on where I want this class to go. All right, guys, awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's nice to be back. Thanks for joining me as always, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.